I just wonder, right? I wonder. How do we begin to live a life in our fullness?
I could make you a character in this game if you want.
I would love that. That'd be pretty cool. Shout out to Christian. I'm pondering. There's something so interesting. I got on the ground. Now I gotta find a way to get back up. There's something so interesting about youth, our seed form, our childhood, and how powerful it is. It shapes the way that we believe. I was just on live, okay? And I'm actually gonna post it. So if you're watching this, you might as well just watch the live. It's called, I think I'm gonna title it Comprehension and Belief. I don't know, we'll see, but I was talking about believing. And it's crazy how the childhood that we receive, the parenting we receive at a young age, what happens in seed form affects what's produced of the seed. I mean, you could plant an apple tree in dry ground and you can plant an apple tree in good soil. It may still grow out to be an apple tree, but there'll be different types of apple trees.
Are you serving breakfast?
The power of changing
Are you still serving breakfast?
our belief system.
One. Almost. No, it's not.
That's the question.
No, it's not. It's one.
I think the craziest thing that I've learned recently is that we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us.
Oh, no. I want that one place. I forgot what it's called.
I didn't believe
Coney
it.
Island. Yeah, you're in Michigan, right?
Will she come back today?
And it's one. It's not two.
Will she come back today?
Yes.
Tell her to say hey.
I'll take like nuggets and fries.
Ooh. Ask her if she can bring me a shawarma from Bucharest.
In Detroit?
Yeah. Is she there still or is she here?
She's here.
Oh. So why do you say Coney Island? Y'all have Coney Island?
I thought she was here. I thought she was in Michigan.
Oh, dang. I didn't even think to ask her for that. Anywho.
Well,
Seed.
So do we So yeah, I'll take nuggets and fries.
It's so crazy.
Yes.
Simply how we believe.
You want something from?
Yeah, I'll take something.
Like
What?
nuggets.
I'll do mac and cheese and nuggets. No fries.
Okay, so nuggets and
Mac and cheese.
mac and cheese. They have the mac and cheese put in there with nuggets.
Yeah. Fried. Why not? It's a lot, but why not?
You said 8 piece.
Save some for later.
Yes. Do you want you want a lemonade?
Water. Or a Powerade, please.
You said Powerade.
Or something, Gatorade Powerade.
You said Gatorade or Powerade. Yeah, I don't think they do Gatorade.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think so. Sorry, I so forgot you guys were in my hand while I'm ordering this food. One thing I noticed, okay, so when I first started my channel, and then we'll get back to what I was actually talking about. I used to edit like crazy. Like I was on my old YouTube and I was looking at my old videos and I'm like, oh my gosh, they were trash, right? You know, it was just a shadow of what was to come today, but they were trash. But I'm like, I used to do all of this editing and now I don't do too much editing. You're not going to see me like cutting out clips or anything like that. Or maybe I just haven't got like any bad content in the midst of it. You know what I'm saying? So who knows? Maybe I will. But I find that simplicity is ultimately better. I don't know how. I just trip and stumble into stuff because I felt something on simplicity is just better. Simplicity is better. Sometimes we try so hard and get nowhere because simplicity is better. But okay, anywho, that's not what we're talking about today. The power of the seed. The power of the seed. I was looking at Genesis 3, and I noticed how the enemy was trying to plant a seed of disbelief, right? And that seed of disbelief turned to insecurity. It was just a seed to get them away from God. Then I also noticed that because a seed caused the problem, a seed had to be the answer. So God said the seed of the woman will crush the serpent's head and you will, bruise the heel of the seed. But seed had to fight seed. It's something so important about seed form and even arguably what happens in seed form. I was just talking to my god brother and I was blown away by the potency of his seed, his skill, his intellect, his capability, and actually actualizing that capability. It's one thing to be capable. It's another thing to actually walk in what you're capable of and attain it. I was blown away because there was something so powerful about the seed. When I say it was kind of like a crazy moment, like an eye-opener, like, oh my gosh, you really can do all things. You're just walk with me here. We're walking in thought, basically. It's just been this big thing about you can do it. And so I was talking to my godfather and he was like, basically, why am I shrinking and not rising? And I'm like, I simply don't believe. He's like, well, why don't you believe? I'm like, well, I wasn't raised believing. I said that when we're born, we're already everything that we will ever become. Just like David was always David. He was a shepherd boy. He never got anything or became anything that he wasn't. He just had to go through process and development to unlock the depth of who he was, who he didn't know that he was. That's process, that's development. But he never became anything more. He just arose to what he was. And so I'm like, seed. I'm like, no, I wasn't raised like that. I had one voice telling me I could do anything. Then I stopped talking to that voice. My dad was the only person that said that to me, that poured into me in a way that provoked me to believe that I could do anything. I would argue that had those seeds not been planted, I wouldn't even have had an ounce of myself today. I would have gotten away from where God was trying to pull me to. But God is intentional about what he does. I got away from that voice, and then the only voice that I had was my mom, and the voice contradicted what my dad said. And everyone is only a product of their environment, a product of the seed that was implanted in them. We all are a product of the parenting we received, the lessons we've learned, the knowledge we've been exposed to. That is who ultimately we become. You cannot be further than you've been exposed to. You cannot be what you're not. As a man thinketh in his heart, you've got to be exposed to think it and become it. And so obviously it wasn't her, it was generational, this lack of belief, generational lack of belief. And it was crazy. I'm going to tell you guys a story. It was Christmas. I went to Louisiana and I got to spend Christmas with family. It was crazy because I had not had a Christmas with family in such a long time, at least not this type of family, this love, this environment, this atmosphere. It was something, one of those things that's like, I don't know. It was sweet, for lack of better words. There are some things you just can't describe. So I went to Louisiana for Christmas, and I'm there. And as I'm there, Alexa, stop. And as I'm there, I'm starting to see that there is more. It's so heavy that I go to the point of crying, and I cried for like 50 days because I just couldn't stop crying. It was just so amazing. Like the sensation, it was just, I don't know. It's like kind of like when you get a cut and then you finally put Neosporin on the cut. It's like just, I really don't know if I can articulate it. It was a sensitive moment. It was a sensitive moment. I was just crying and crying and crying. But what was so powerful was I began to understand how limited our belief systems are simply by what we experience in seed form. I don't know if I can. I just got to, I got to say this right. So, I was exposed to an entirely new dynamic. One of love, one of positivity, one of prosperity. Naturally, it was no ill, no bad. It was nothing but light. And I started to understand that oftentimes we only operate in darkness because darkness is all that we know.
How do you get a head tap?
Who would I have been 10 years ago had I been exposed to more light and less darkness? All things work for good, and God is very intentional. When things happen, development takes place, but who would I have been? I'm only doing now what I was doing then, but then I didn't believe that I could because there was an error in seed form, and so I'm sitting here and I'm listening to the light that is shining in my God brother, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what happens when you value the seed. When we actually value our seed. This was supposed to be casual. It wasn't supposed to be a message behind this video, but I just feel something about valuing our seed. Nevertheless, to get out of it, we all live in our own reality. We all live in this own space in our mind, built up by our own beliefs, built up by our exposure, built up by our choices, built up by ourselves. We live in our own reality, everyone operating in their own mind, painting their own picture, being their own person. So what takes place that turns us away from who we are? Why am I so stuck on this? This has been like a thing of authenticity. Maybe it's supposed to be a series. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's not just one message. Maybe I have to really unpack it. Maybe there's a mission attached to authenticity because I keep trying to get away from it, but I keep getting right back into it. There is something about authenticity, valuing your seed, authenticity. Why don't we value our seed? Maybe it's just simply because we don't think we can. I don't know, you know? I find that the most limiting thing, it's not other people. No, other people can't keep you down. People say, oh, I didn't have the resources. In fact, statistically, The number one reason that small businesses fail within their first year is because of lack of resources. Yet, so many businesses actually succeed. So that means it can't really be lack of resources that knock them down. Maybe lack of belief that even without the resources, I could still accomplish the goal. I could still accomplish the mission. Maybe it was just lack of believing. And so I find our greatest enemy is ourself. Now, I will grant grace, and I'm talking about myself. I'm not talking about anyone else, if you feel it, it's you, but I'm not talking necessarily about anyone but myself. But I just wonder how things would be different if we just believed. I can only articulate myself the way that I do now because I just woke up one day and started believing. I'm able to go live and I'm noticing that I'm getting better. I'm noticing that I'm actually flourishing where I thought that I would fail simply because I'm believing. Our greatest enemy is often not the enemy, but our lack of believing in ourself, our lack of confidence in ourself. And so I say I grant grace because how can a child have their own confidence when confidence is supposed to at first be given? We come into the world as a child only looking up. We only rely on what has been given unto us. How do I know? We go into Genesis. God gave them their confidence that despite what anybody else might say to you, despite what may come up to you, I've already told you who you are. Have confidence in what I said. So as a child, we only have confidence in what our parents give us. So if our parents give us darkness, we have confidence in darkness. If our parents give us light, we have confidence in light. But if our parents give us nothing, how are we to have confidence in anything? So we build our confidence based on what we experience as a seed. So I have grace because there's no way I could have had confidence of myself. We come into this world as a blank slate. We come into this world being completely authentic. This is who I am. This is what I want to be. All of these different things.
It's like, if you have like a bald, you have to have hair. So that's you.
Bald, you're funny. That's me. I like that. I used to want white hair. Same here. Hold on. This is copyrighted, guys. He built that. He built the person. That's sweet.
Oh yeah, and now you're like a permanent character again.
In the game?
Yeah.
Am I gonna win?
Depends. Because you're on my team now.
Are you the winning team? Is the question.
I'm at the top of the leaderboards because we started the new season because Dimitri.
Your friend?
Yeah. He got mad because he kept losing to the same. He kept losing to and he kept getting blown out every game because he had the worst characters. But yeah, so
we're blank. We're a canvas when we come into the world. I think this is so potent because we're a canvas, yet a canvas is yet still something. It's not that we came in as nothing. We came in still having something. We were a canvas, and the canvas gets painted by life. Again, David became king. It didn't change his canvas. The canvas was still canvas. It was just painted. Oh, this is good. We come in as a canvas, and our parents are the ones that are supposed to paint our canvas. I'm just going to set y'all down real quick so I could just walk and not carry y'all. Of course. On my live the other day, or it might have been last night, because yesterday was Wednesday. I'm just hold y'all. The phone kept falling. I was trying to go live. Was it then? I think it was. And the phone falling it just distracted me to the point of throwing off my whole entire message. But anywho. The paint sometimes can alter the canvas if the paint does not match the picture that's trying to be painted. If I'm trying to paint a certain picture, I use certain colors. If I don't use these colors, it changes the picture. So we come in blank and we get painted as we go throughout life. We get painted as we go throughout experiences, but we're blank. Oh, let me keep moving. And so, from a young age, I was always being me. Believing that I could, believing that I would, believing all of these things until finally my belief was contradicted. There's this thing where they say like successful people and rich people kind of hold their head up high above the rest. And I started to understand why they do, not in a prideful way, but just in a way that, we all have been not, I want to say it the right way, but I'm going to just say it as in truth. Everyone is not created necessarily equally, not in higher than another person, but everyone has gifts according to themselves. The Bible tells us this. There are kings, there are peasants, there are people who can sing, there are people who can code, there are people who can act, there are people who can paint. We are not all created equally or the same. We're all humans, but we all do different things, and we all have different callings, and we all have different anointings. We all have differences. And in order to walk in the authenticity of the greatness that God has given unto you, it takes a certain type of boldness. And I just was talking about this on live. It takes a certain type of boldness because oftentimes you being authentic will look odd to everyone else. I'm getting away from where I was. And so I understood why successful people started holding their head up high. There's a difference between arrogance, though, and confidence. But it's because I understand who I am, and I understand that I made the decision that you did. And I chose to step into my greatness, which was unconventional. It's easier to go to a job every day and stand in the line of citizenship, but it's different to say I'm going to do something else. I don't feel this is for me. I'm going to do something else. It's something different. And so people hold their head up high because they chose to do something else. How? I don't know. So I was doing it, and I was standing in it, and I was knocked down because I was doing what wasn't done. And if you didn't do it yourself, if you didn't believe in yourself, how could you possibly believe in me? That's why we have to be careful the opinions that we listen to, the advice that we take, because just because it didn't work for you doesn't mean it won't work for me. Just because it didn't happen for you doesn't mean it won't happen for me. Just because it failed for you doesn't mean it won't succeed for me. If you try to get out of a boat and walk on the water, you will drown. Yet Peter was able to get out and walk on the water because just because it didn't work for you doesn't mean it doesn't work for me.
Who is this? Who's the Cardinals?
It's just about what happens at seed form. I don't know where I was going, but I know where I am. And so this conversation made me realize the importance of managing your seed. I think this applies to even visions that God gives us. Do we actually manage the seed that he gives us? Do we actually value it? Do we actually put a lot of intent behind it? Are we valuing our seed? I was talking about parenting, but I think this is just a life principle that you must value your seed. Businesses go out of business because they don't value their seed. You got an investment and you didn't value the investment. You weren't strategic in your operation, so now you lost because you didn't value your seed. If you have this vision, it's a seed. Are you going to value it enough to equip yourself with the resources and the tools necessary to watch your seed go from planting to prospering? I've learned to love. I don't really hold anything against anyone. And everyone says that, like, oh, I'm not mad. We're human, so I have some emotions about it. Who doesn't want parents to lift them up? But I've learned not to hold anything against them because, like I said, people can't be what they're not. And I think it's so important that we stop being mad at people for what they couldn't do and start loving ourselves enough to give ourselves what we didn't get from anywhere else. This comes from God also, because he says that when your mother and father forsake you, I will take care of you. It's something important about not relying on a broken foundation to support you. The Bible even tells us if you have a plank in your eye, take it out, because how can I tell you how to get a plank out of your eye that I haven't gotten out of my own? It's just this decision. A decision to be better, a decision to go further, a decision to do more. You just have to make the decision. And when you make the decision, it might contradict the people around you. It might contradict the situation that you're in, but you made your decision. God gives us the power of decision making. And so this conversation with my godbrother was just so eye-opening, because I see how amazing he is and how he's walking it, and at a young age. He's going to go far in life, and he was set up for it. Not only was he set up for it, he takes his own intentionality and walks in it. One of the most powerful things that my godfather told me, he was like, I equip my children to make their own decisions. I don't make decisions for them. I communicate with them in a way that leaves space and opportunity for them to make different decisions, that they can learn how to be the leader of their life. Now, I don't remember what he said verbatim, but that's what he said. And I was just like, wow, that's powerful. I didn't know where I was going. That's just it. And so this conversation blew my mind. And I was like, oh, I got to turn this camera on, because I just felt like, wow, I was just blown away by it. And so, yeah. And then oftentimes God will put people in your life, and if you don't learn how to... And if you don't learn how to value what God gives you and let go of what isn't for you, you'll miss out on the good, hanging on to the bad. You got to let go of what's bad to get the good. But sometimes the pain of letting go is so overbearing in the moment that we don't want to let go, not understanding that the pain of holding on to something that's not for you is worse than letting go of what's not for you. And getting it is just a little bit, different. Let's go ahead and say hi to my godmother.
Whose blue drink is that? That's your stuff.
Huh? Thank you. Hey.
Hey. Oh, here we go, Frank.
Thank you.
Y'all didn't say sauce, so ain't no sauces in there.
That's
I
okay.
really want to check and see if
There's some sauces in there. Okay. Shout out to Chick-fil-A. I'm about to eat. That was all. I just wanted to say that conversation was very mind-blowing. And that was it. So if I could conclude this video in any way, I would say to believe, okay? I don't even know. When I get to talking, I get to just moving, but it's a lot. What is it? It's a reflection of what's to come, okay? I don't even want to unpack that right now. Believe, simply. Value your seed and believe, and if you can do those things, you will be able to walk into a life that you have not even thought of, haven't imagined, exceedingly abundantly beyond all you could ever ask or think. You'll walk into it, or it will walk right up to you, and you'll just have to decide to step into it. But you first have to believe and value your seed. And so that's what I got from the conversation with my godbrother. Was I just got a whole lot of open eyes from it. And so, yeah, that's it. Peace out.